Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I am Kevin Kietzman, and I've been looking forward to this show for a couple of hours. I am jacked today to present this to you. We are going to focus at the beginning on the arrest of Don Lemon, and I'm going to take a big picture look at this because this is one of the most interesting stories I've ever seen, and I will explain why. We're going to get right into that momentarily. Also today, Mayor Q has become the president of the Democrat Mayors Association. Oh, goody. I guess they give that to the city that has the most homeless people per capita. Is that how that works? Because that came out the same day. Oh, we'll have to discuss that on the show today. Donald Trump has made his decision on a new Federal Reserve chairman. We'll tell you who he is and what he's all about. At 10:30, Christina Wallace will be here. She is a concerned homeowner in Lenexa. Get this, in Lenexa, they've got a park. They've got a wetlands, an area that they've been protecting since the beginning of time in Lenexa, and it's been zoned a park, and they want to rezone it residential so they can build Habitat for Humanity homes there next to like $650,000 houses across the street. Over 1,500 people have signed a petition in Lenexa. We're going to have a throwdown in a council meeting in Kansas City like we've never seen, Monday night, February 2nd, 7:30, Lenexa City Hall. This is going to be wild. I live in Lenexa. That's not the reason I'm doing this story. I've just never had this many people contact me about any one of these city council kind of things. This is going to be overflow. It's going to be cold. These people are not all getting into the city hall. They're going to overwhelm the city. We'll talk to Christina Wallace about what her and her team have built in Lenexa to try to fight this rezoning of turning a park into Habitat for Humanity. This is the same clown mayor in Lenexa that wanted to take the La Quinta Inn at 95th and I-35 and make a homeless shelter out of it. And the people of Lenexa in Johnson County got that shut down. They're pretty good at shutting down this mayor's clueless. She's just exactly who you think she is. And so I'm all for shutting this project down. I love Habitat for Humanity. I've got a longtime friend was on the board and has worked for them. I've supported and donated. I'm all for Habitat for Humanity, but this is insane. Taking away a park, a zoned park in Lenexa, and putting up homes that maybe cost a third of the ones across the street for low-income housing, insane. We'll get into that with Christina Wallace coming up at 10:30. But we start with Don Lemon, who's been arrested in Los Angeles. We do not know what he's been charged with, okay? He was covering the Grammys. He's been arrested for his involvement a couple of weeks ago in that church in St. Paul in Minneapolis, where he went in as a journalist covering all these other people that have been arrested. Many people have been arrested, including the lady that organized the thing. She's been arrested. Now, keep in mind, that's been almost 2 weeks since this occurred. They referred Don Lemon's name to a judge, locally, a magistrate, and said, we would like to have a warrant for his arrest as well. And the judge said, no, he's a journalist. He's probably covered. But they didn't give exact or specific enough information why they wanted to arrest Don Lemon at the time. You remember, he skated, the others got arrested. That didn't surprise me in any way. And I think the judge actually did the right thing and said, we need more proof than that. What I said on Uncanceled, if you remember, the day after it happened, I said, Don Lemon's got a problem because now the people they arrested, they have their devices. They're able to look at their phones, their emails, get into their records, and take a look at how this was organized and orchestrated. Folks, the Trump administration is going after organizers and people who fund these things. That's who they want. The question with Don Lemon, and we're going to have an interesting show because it's really where things collide. That's what this show is about today, is when two things collide. This is a First Amendment issue, okay? There is freedom of the press. And if Don Lemon was there just covering an event, he's got nothing to worry about, I think. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I think he's probably covered. If he just went in, he's with them, I'm going to cover this event, see what happens. I've got a story. We know which side he's on. We know he was on the side of the protesters. That doesn't really matter. Like, I give opinions every day, and I'm protected through freedom of the press and freedom of speech under the First Amendment, and he would be too. But since it's been almost 2 weeks, it leads me to believe they found something. They found some correspondence where Don Lemon was orchestrating this or involved in pulling this off or saying, this date would work for me. If you want it live streamed, I can do that for you. If that happens, he becomes what we would describe in broadcasting as a producer. He's producing a broadcast. Mark and I produce this broadcast every day. I've been in touch with Christina Wallace. She's going to be my guest. So does that make me responsible for anything that she says? No, but you know that I've organized for her to be here, and we're going to have this segment for you. What they were organizing in Minneapolis was against the law, and the leader of this thing was a lawyer. The woman was a lawyer and a teacher. And she says a preacher as well. And she must have known that it is against the law to go interfere with church. You just can't stop that. So the First Amendment's very clear. The very first thing it says is you cannot, the establishment of religion or prohibiting free exercise of religion is number one in the First Amendment. Religion is number one. Freedom of speech is number two. Freedom of the press is number three. And the right to peacefully assemble is number four. That's it. That's the First Amendment to our Constitution. Our founding fathers were very clear about this, that they knew religion. They came here and had a wide variety of religions then, not as many as are celebrated in America now or on this soil now, certainly. But this was a big part of their experience where they came from. No taxation without representation. You've heard all these things that they were rebelling against. They went to the New World. They set up their own country. And boy, we were going to have freedom of religion. And that was going to happen. But Don Lemon has been arrested under something called the KKK Act. This is from 1871. The KKK Act prevented the Ku Klux Klan from intimidating. It says very plainly in this, intimidating. It's violence, it's torture, it's all these other things, burning, all these things are in there. But intimidating is the word. Intimidating freed slaves from going to church. They didn't see them as equal Christians. And they tried, the Ku Klux Klan would surround churches and keep black freed slaves from going to church. That's what this was set up as. Now, why are they using this? Well, of course, there's some hubris in using this because Don Lemon is black. Okay, so that is involved in this. But did you know in 2020, the NAACP and the Michigan Welfare Rights Organization sued Donald Trump under the KKK Act for conspiracy of disenfranchising black voters? They sued Trump, Giuliani, Roger Stone, Don Jr., Dan Scavino, Julie Hahn, and others. It went on and on and on. Donald Trump has been sued under the KKK Act. So there's two different types of people listening right now. Some of us are like, hell yeah, let's go get Don Lemon, let's arrest him, let's put him in jail, all that, okay? I'm all for this being the right thing to do if they've got something on him. I do not believe he's going to go to jail. I don't think there's going to be some sort of a massive conviction and Don Lemon's going to be this, martyr someday because he's in prison for 6 months. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't. I think he's got a lot of protections under the Constitution, the First Amendment, because he's in the media. I believe that to be true. Okay? So that's one side of the thing. And then the other side of the thing is, Trump, why do you do this? You're giving them ammunition to make it look like you're a bully. Well, I'm providing you with the answer of why he's doing this. He's been sued under the KKK Act. And I'm going to guess it really irritated him. And if this presidency is 90% great things that he's out there doing, and 10% I'm going to go get some repayment for what they have wrought on me, I guess I can give him that. They raided Melania's panty drawer, the FBI. I think it's okay if the FBI picks up Don Lemon for going into a church and keeping fine people from praying and worshiping. I think it's just fine they did this. It may be a win for the left publicly. There may be a lot of people that hate Trump over this. He's not running again, folks. He's not running again. But this is the KKK Act, and it is really quite amazing that they've used this against Don Lemon. So what collides here is we literally will have a case where the First Amendment protects freedom of the press, but it also protects the establishment of religion and prohibiting free exercise as a crime. No law should be enacted that allows that. Who knows? This is all kinds of things. Right to peacefully assemble? This wasn't peaceful assembly. Again, when you break into somebody's church and they ask you to leave and you don't leave, you're not peacefully assembling. So I think I think everybody that went in there broke that. The question is, did Don Lemon not break that because he's a journalist? There was a woman named Georgia Fort that was there that day too, and she's an area or Minnesota podcaster, journalist, left-winger, and she's been arrested as well. And she videoed the entire thing and has posted that on social media now when the federal agents came to her house and detained her. Again, we do not have the charges here for Georgia Fort and Don Lemon, both considering themselves journalists that were acting in this. I think it's going to have to be some sort of conspiracy. Conspiracy to go stop a house of worship and people from exercising their rights. That's what the KKK Act is. The KKK was keeping black freed slaves from exercising their rights, quote, to participate in society, unquote. That's what the KKK Act is. You cannot interfere with somebody participating in society. That's the law. That's the KKK Act in a nutshell. And one of the real tenets of the thing and the reasons they did it was a lot of places around the country, the KKK was surrounding churches, and they were intimidating black people and turning them away. They didn't want them to go to church. So we got a history in this country. You want to revisit the racial America and the reason we put this law in the book in 1871? Let's go revisit it, and let's ask if that's what they're doing today. Because it was a black woman that organized it. It was a black journalist that did it in an overwhelmingly, if not completely, white church. Let's have this debate. Let's get it out. Let's educate America on what's transpiring today, and did this happen in 1870 with reverse skin color? Is it the same thing? I don't think Don Lemon's getting convicted of anything. I'm just going to tell you right now. I think freedom of the press is going to protect him. It's literally in the Constitution. Maybe one right overrides the other or equals out the other. I don't know. To me, when one person is doing something to take a right away from somebody else, just because you have the freedom of the press, I'm not sure you should have the right to prohibit somebody from worshiping. The question is, was Don Lemon participating or was he journaling? Was he covering the event? And I would guess, since they arrest him, there's something he sent, some correspondence, an email, a text, something on record, a voicemail that he left, something that said, if he says, I will help you, or I will help organize, or I can do it this day. I can do it on this Sunday. It fits my schedule. I can do it on this Sunday. That's basically saying, you don't want to do this without me. I'm going to help you. Now you'd have to ask a jury, is he complicit in that? And my answer would be yes. That's the way they would get him. 913-408-7957. Do you have an opinion on this? This is a really, really, really gray, tricky, interesting case. 913-408-7957, the number to call. I'd love to hear your thoughts next on KCMO.
From Lenexa to Lee's Summit, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, this story struck a nerve. We got a lot of great callers. We're going to get right to you. I mentioned the top Mayor Q is now the president of the Democrat Mayors Association. He's quoted as saying, quote, "It's a hell of a time to be in charge," saying that it used to be about business, being a mayor, getting business to your city. Now it means, quote, "trying to preserve the constitutional republic." Oh, my, Mayor Q. Just a bit of an overstatement there. I guess we can tolerate it. Let's go to the phones. Barb is up first today by virtue of her gender. It is great to have her with us from Lawrence this morning. Hi, Barb.
Aren't you? Hi, how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
Have fun with your grandchild. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Thank you.
I think Don Lemon got in trouble because when you watch him interviewing the pastor's trying to be real friendly. And apparently they targeted that church because they thought one of the pastors was an ICE person. They worked part-time for ICE or something. But he keeps pushing up against the pastor, and finally he goes, "Hey, dude, quit pushing me." And then he leaves. So he's really aggressive. And then outside, Lemon was handing out donuts and high-fiving the demonstrators. So it looks like he's hosting the event. I don't know. That looks a little weird to me.
I'm with you. But those are gray areas and would be difficult to prove by the law. What they're going to need is some sort of a conversation via text, email, something like that I will help you organize this and pull this off. If he became a producer of the event, that's a crime. Good call. Good call, Barb. Great to hear from you. Oh, my goodness. We got Road Warrior on the line. This guy called me for over 20 years when I was in sports radio. Road Warrior, how you doing, man?
Kevin, I'm doing great. You know, it's funny. You and I used to chit-chat about the Royals and KU and K-State and all that stuff, and now here we are 20-something years later, and we're talking about current events, which I think is kind of a good evolution of our careers, isn't it?
No doubt. Let's do this, though. Are you still driving? Let's do the background of who and what you are. You drove a lot.
Yes, Kevin,
okay.
I've calculated. I've been self-employed for 25 years. I drive 60,000 miles a year. So if you do the math, I've driven 1.5 million miles in the last 25 years. How about that?
What is your odometer reading today?
Well, I've got a new car. This one says 206,287.
So 206,000 miles.
Yeah. Well, on this car, I've got a Forerunner down in Texas that's now going to Dallas Baptist that has 470,000 miles on it.
That's the one I remember. You had a Toyota that had almost 400,000 miles on it when we talked one time. So is that one driving less now? That's got to be an old one.
Yeah, it's driving less, but my youngest son, who's down at school at Dallas, he uses it, and that's his vehicle now. So
that's
it's still clicking running like a sewing machine. So
you're the best, buddy. What do you think about Don Lemon?
I appreciate that. Well, you know what, Kevin? It was interesting because I've heard that the KKK act that you alluded to earlier was referenced, but I was wondering if you've heard anything about maybe he broke something called the FACE Act, which is the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances, which basically prohibits you from injuring, intimidating, or interfering with the exercising of people with their right to religious freedom. So I don't know if that has come across your desk or if you know anything about that or have heard
That's what they
anything
used for the first people that they arrested. That's what they used. They sent that to the judge. The judge denied that with Don Lemon. So I'm thinking they went a different direction here, but they may have done both. We don't know. They have not listed the charges yet against Don Lemon. We just know that he was arrested. There may not be any charges. Maybe they're just pulling him in and there won't be charges. We don't even know that. He hasn't been charged with anything yet.
Right. Well, you know what? I think the best plan for us as citizens is just to sit back, gather all the information, and be able to form our opinions when all the information is out, not some of the information.
Rhodey, great to hear from you, man. Call me anytime.
No problem, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Remember the name, folks. He's Road Warrior. I'm so pleased to have him in this audience. Here is Susan in Lawrence. Good morning, Susan. You're on KCMO.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, my daughter is now a senior in college, but since she was a really little kid, we explained basically the Constitution one way, and she got it at 3 years old. She gets it today, and it's an easy way to understand it, I think. And that's that, there's no right in our Constitution that's actually considered an absolute right. And the way we've always taught her is that your fundamental rights end at the moment they infringe on someone else's fundamental rights. that's all that happened in these, this church riot basically is, yes, they have freedom of the press. He did specifically, but no longer does he at the moment that infringes on someone else's fundamental right within the First Amendment. So, right to religion.
Beautiful. You raised great kids. Thank you for the call. That's outstanding, Susan. I believe the Constitution mostly is written that says the government can't do this. So the government can't tell you what religion you can worship. The government can't tell you can't go to church, things like that. It's mostly written blocking the government from doing things. And there's a lot of interpretations how it applies when under the First Amendment we're talking about one right versus another, and that's exactly what this case is. Christina Wallace joins us next. We got mayhem in Lenexa on KCMO.
Vince Colonnese here, and I'm coming up at 11 after Kevin Kietzman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
Welcome back to Uncanceled. I'm excited about our guest today. It's Christina Wallace. She's from Lenexa. She's a concerned homeowner, and they have a massive group and signatures of 1,500 or more and growing. They're asking the question, is your park next? The crux of the story is pretty simple. There's a big meeting on Monday night, February 2nd, the Lenexa City Council, where concerned homeowners are going to be showing up because they're turning park land or land zoned for parks in Lenexa into, quote, affordable housing for Habitat for Humanity. This is a wild one, folks, and it's going to get wilder. Christina joins us now. Good morning, Christina. How are you today?
Good morning, Kevin. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. Did I set the table properly? Is that where we start here? Is that exactly what's been going on? Lenexa wants to take land designated to be a park, which is wetlands, and turn it into Habitat for Humanity?
Yes, that is correct. You did a great job summarizing what's happening here.
Okay, and so residents are homeowners. I won't say residents because I'm sure there's some people on the left, like the mayor, that think this is a great idea. It's weird when people on the left have to pick between a park and a charity or a habitat in low-income housing. This becomes really complicated for them. But for homeowners, it's really simple. You don't want $650,000 houses across the street from $200,000 houses that are low income. Is that ultimately the problem here?
No, I think the bigger problem here is that hundreds of families bought homes in this area believing that it was protected parkland. And the city led the public to believe that over the course of 12 years. And so when you have 5 neighborhoods that are built around that promise from the city, and then that ends up being recalled without any notice to the public, it's going to breed an atmosphere of mistrust and really just anger at the city for how this is being handled.
Okay, so I think I could see where real estate agents would say, and I'm not trying to badmouth real estate agents, but they're trying to sell a house, whatever. And they say, oh, that's park. It's zoned as a park. That's never going to change. And it may just be like a discussion and not something factual or would hold up in court or anything like that. Do you have anything, does anybody have any correspondence over the last few years from the city that says this is a park and it will remain a park? Is there an email? Was there a press release at some point? Are they changing policy? And even if they did that, doesn't the council or the city have the right to change it?
Yeah, so let me give you a little bit of background on this land.
Okay,
so the
good.
land was purchased in 1998 and 2006. It was purchased predominantly with park funds and rain to recreation funds, and only 30 acres of it was purchased with general funds. In 2012, the city of Lenexa made a comprehensive park plan that has the entire parcel listed as a park, and that park plan lived in public view from 2012 to 2024. In 2015, the land was made surplus. It was posted legally in the legal record, which is, I don't know about you, but I don't get that magazine.
Right.
And then in 2018, they made an RFP, but only sent it out to a select group of developers, which is the equivalent of, have you ever tried to sell a house and you didn't put a for sale sign on the property and then only texted a couple of your buddies about it? Do you think that house would sell well?
No.
No, it wouldn't. And so we're basically just saying, you didn't put a for sale sign on it. You didn't notify the public in a way that actually the public knew about it. You never changed official documentation. And because of it, hundreds of families bought homes believing that this was a park. And what responsibility does the city have when residents rely on these official representatives and official documentation? And in what way does this become a point of omission, becomes misrepresentation?
Okay, I live in Lenexa. I remember voting for Lake Lenexa and the water project and everything you were talking about. Is that all this? Is because the people went and voted on that. There was a tax that went in, right, to build that lake and the dam and everything. Is this all attached to that?
I will be honest and say I'm not 100% sure. You probably have lived in Lenexa longer than I have, but I do know that they used the cover of Lenexa Town Talk and had this land on the cover to pass the most recent sale for the 3/8 tax renewal.
Okay.
That is also going to be used to purchase more parkland.
Okay, so that was a vote, right?
Yes.
And did they tell people that they were going to be purchasing parkland and changing it?
It is in the Lenexa Town Talk magazine that they would be using the 3/8 sale tax to buy more parkland while not advertising the fact that we're going to be selling this parkland for under market value.
Right. And doing it for things other than park. The assumption would be if they're buying more parkland, there's going to be more parks in Lenexa. That's why you vote yes, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Everybody loves parks. Everybody votes yes for parks.
Yes, everybody wants to be able to walk their dog or take their kids out and
Right.
enjoy nature. Like, we all love that.
So Lenexa has repeatedly asked us to vote yes for parks and lakes and a dam and fishing and outdoors, and now they want to take that land that we voted yes and paid for and give it to low-income housing.
Yep, that's exactly
Wow.
right.
Okay, help me with this one, Christina. I saw an email. I've seen some exchanges between people at City Hall that work for the city. Is it true that at some point during this discussion with Habitat for Humanity and the people passing this to the city, that somebody with the city was trying to get preferred treatment for people that worked for the city of Lenexa to qualify for some of this housing? Is that true?
I would say it appears to be that way based on the emails that we have been sent. So we did an open records request to understand what was happening. Why was this parkland under question? And when we got those emails back, City Manager Becky Yoakum did ask Habitat for Humanity's Lindsay Hicks if the city employees could have a bump in score or have the first right of refusal for lots in this development. And Lindsay
Wow.
Hicks responded with, "Great idea."
Okay.
So there does
Do you
raise some question on the ethics behind this as well.
it raises way more than questions. It raises whether or not that's legal and whether they've committed a crime.
Yes.
Or done something unethical to lose their position. Have you consulted an attorney? Is there any attorney with your group, or will there be any there Monday night at the council meeting?
We are in conversations on the legal side of this, but it is still an avenue that we're exploring.
So you need, come on, we need a lawyer in Lenexa. We need somebody in Kansas City to represent these people. I want to know, because to me, you can handcuff this liberal government that just wants to build apartments in Lenexa and turn it from what's been forever and ever and ever a very red community into a liberal community where they do things like tell you they're building more parks, pass these votes, and then they turn the parkland into low-income housing, or they want to take the La Quinta Inn at 95th and I-35 and turn it into a homeless shelter, which we know what the crime stats are around homeless shelters. That's not the Lenexa I've lived in since the 90s, okay? Man, we need a lawyer. We need somebody to reach out and contact these people and say, I want to look at these emails. Huh?
We'll talk to them. Let us know.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I need a pro bono lawyer that understands this stuff to look at these emails in Lenexa, because I want to know the story here is, are they committing a crime, or are the people in Lenexa running Lenexa doing something that requires them to be fired for doing something at least unethical?
Yeah, there's some other interesting things too. There was hints that the developers were going to have their fees waived for putting in this development. They were not going to be required to follow the original RFP that was published in 2018. And we know that developers prior who had talked to the city about this parcel were going to have to put a road in, put a bridge in. They were not going to be able to purchase the parcel separately. It was all going to have to be together. So it really comes down to, is the city picking a winner? Are they playing favoritism here? Or are they actually being an impartial seller of this land?
If I asked a realtor or a real estate professional and I lived across the street that if they build these houses, is the value of my house going down, what would the realtor tell me?
So there's been a lot of debate on that. I think the official answer is that a community land trust can't officially be put into the appraisal number that is given. However, I think there is the difference between appraisal and then the sellability factor. And so is the appraisal going to go down? I'm not sure. Would it impact someone's ability to sell their house? Possibly.
I would go a step further and say probably. Listen, I think Habitat for Humanity is awesome. I don't blame them for doing this. You did an interview with Channel 9, and you've done some other interviews. Ultimately, what we have here is a parcel of land that they think can be rezoned and made residential, and Habitat at this point is the only organization trying to get it. What if Don Julian Builders wanted to go in there and develop 50 homes? Can they do that, or are they just talking to people like Habitat?
We know that they were talking to at least a couple developers up until 2024. And I think the more interesting one, Kevin, is that they actually had someone reach out in 2025 in November while they were deep into already talking to Habitat. And so one of the questions that we're curious about is, did they actually explore that full price offer, or did they already pick their winner in Habitat?
Would there be, if a big builder came in and was building big fancy houses instead of 60 houses, building 30, and the lots were bigger? And by the way, what's the price of the land? This is the craziest part. How much per acre?
So they are selling it for $49K an acre.
$49,000 an acre. And across the street, you could have got maybe a half acre lot or less for $200,000 or $150,000?
Yes, so land comps on undeveloped land run anywhere between $70 to $150K an acre in Johnson County.
Yeah. So they're selling it on the cheap to Habitat. And clearly a developer would pay more than that.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. And no developer was given that opportunity prior to this.
Okay, so is this as it stands now? Is it done and you're trying to get it changed with the meeting on Monday night and then another one on February 17th? Or have they not voted and approved this yet?
It is still up for vote. We have Planning Commission on February 2nd, and then we'll have the city council meeting on February 17th, where it'll be ultimately voted on for the rezoning and for the application approval.
Okay, so you want everybody to come to the meeting. You want to get everybody in there on it's Monday night, 7:30, Lenexa City Hall. Is that where it is?
7 p.m. at City Hall. Yep. We would
7
love if
p.m.
people could show up. We would love if they could sign our petition. You can find it at Is Your Park Next, as well as our Facebook page that's covering this.
And do they don't have to be your Lenexa residents, right? Like if you're listening to this
They do
show
not.
and you believe in what we're talking about, you can still show up to this thing and show support, right?
Yes, we would invite anybody and everybody who wants to show support to help us out here.
Anybody around Kansas City that hates when they do this to people, and there've been, listen, it's not specific to Lenexa. This has happened in Lee Summit. We've got people all over that this has happened in your neighborhood, and it was a big deal when it was yours. I know it's cold, but come on out Monday night. What works with these politicians, if that thing's overwhelmed and there's an overflow crowd outside the building, I mean, that would make a powerful statement, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. And to kind of give a good reference for how big this has kind of become, when the La Quinta project was being put through, the public comment packet at this point was 189 pages. The public comment packet for this case right now is 511, to give you a scale for the resident feedback on the difference between La Quinta, which got a lot of media coverage, and this one. This is a much bigger deal.
Okay. Where can people find your information? Christina Wallace, our guest, concerned homeowner in Lenexa. You have a Facebook page and other ways that people can reach out and see what's going on. Where can they find you?
You can find us at Is Your Park Next on Facebook. We have a public Facebook page that people can follow.
That's a great title. Is Your Park Next? Literally wanting to take away parkland in Lenexa and build low-income housing. I'm amazed when liberals get like, oh, my God, which one of my crazy causes here am I more – because they love parks, right? We got to have the parks. Oh, we got to have the parks. We got to save the trees. We got to do all this stuff. Oh, but wait, we need low-income housing. There's no low-income housing in Lenexa. We got to get some low-income housing. I just think it's – what a conundrum. What a conundrum to live your life like that and try to decide which one's more important. This is the wrong thing to do. Taking away parkland for this is wrong. I don't think anybody would agree with this, especially when they passed it as a vote of, we're buying more parkland in Lenexa. Great. Everybody that lives there loves that idea. And now they want to take it away and do low-income housing. You know what? Elections matter. And let this be a notice to everybody listening in every community in our area. If you don't vote in your local elections, and I think they're all a scam because you don't know who the Republican is and you don't know who the Democrat is, that's a Kansas and Missouri state law. They need to pass that. Anytime you go to the ballot box in this polarized country today, you should not be able to run for an office without declaring what party you're in. When you don't do your research and you're afraid to go vote because you don't know who to vote for, the Democrats are going to win every time. I'm just telling you. They're going to win every time. And this is the first Democrat mayor ever in Lenexa, and it's changing crazy. I don't know your politics, Christine. I know this is your passion, so I hate to drag you into politics, but that's my speech today. And I think people should just be very, very wary and involved in their local politics because it really matters. And you got over 1,500 people have signed this thing, man. You got some people riled up in Lenexa.
They are. I think the big thing is good causes still require good governance.
That's awesome. Well said. Christina, best of luck to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care. Christina Wallace in Lenexa. Again, their Facebook page is Your Park Next. How would you like to vote yes for your city to buy more parkland or buy more land and develop? This is wetland. This is not particularly great. It's a beautiful little spot. There's wetland areas and trees and whatever. It's wetland. It's considered zoned for parks. How would you like to vote yes on a sales tax to buy more parkland in Lenexa? Because everybody thinks that's a good idea. And then after you acquire it, we're going to do low-income housing on the parkland. That's the story. That's the liberal playbook. I don't care where you live. Can you get to Lenexa Monday night? Let's overwhelm them. 7 o'clock, City Hall, Lenexa, Monday night is Your Park Next. When we come back, Mark Van Sickle is next. He's feeling better, and he's very excited about a basketball game tomorrow night. And I've got something to tell you about Scott Fawn, who's a regular contributor to Mundo in the morning. That is next on KCMO Talk Radio.
From Overland Park to Parkville, it's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, we're wrapping up another week on Uncanceled here with our buddy Mark Van Sickle back in studio in the control room. Mark, how you doing, buddy? You feeling better today?
I'm feeling about the same. I can still speak, which is good, but it might be a little raspy still.
That's awesome. You know Scott Fawn. I think Pete had him. Did he have him on yesterday?
He had him on, I believe it was yesterday, maybe 2 days
talking
ago.
about, and he's been on and talked about a variety of issues and things like that. I find him to be a very interesting guest of Pete's, and so I invited him to come on my podcast. So shameless plug here today. The Kevin Kietzman Has Issues podcast today is an extensive interview with Scott Fawn. If you like what you hear him talk about from the Missouri Times when he's on with Mundo, this is about his career. This is about the news, the Missouri Times, what they do. He just bought 3 new newspapers in Jefferson City, Fulton, and California, Missouri. He's becoming like a media magnet. He's buying up smaller newspapers, and that's awesome because he's conservative. So we're talking about what it is he's trying to accomplish in Missouri, and it's more about him. We also get into a pretty good argument about the 85 World Series, which he still is not over, and it was fun.
He's definitely better at long form. We have to really keep him tight here on the radio, so I'm glad you got him on.
I highly recommend this. If folks go to the website, it's just go to kkhasissues.com and hit the play button, and you can hear a really terrific interview with Scott Fawn. It's him, not me. I just asked the questions. Although we did argue about the World Series, it was pretty fun. So I think you'll like that. And everybody says, when you're going to do more than an hour, every day after the show's over, at any point, just go to kkhasissues.com and hit the play button. You can do it on your browser, your phone, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's all right there. Mark, did you see last night? Did Cooper Flagg have 48 points last night for the Dallas Mavericks?
49 points.
49 points.
Absolutely crazy. I was following that.
The most ever by a teenager in NBA history.
Yep.
He's 19.
It's crazy.
How good is Dallas?
Not that good.
Okay, but they've got the guy to build around. They should become good, right? We expect them to be...
They still lost the game last night, was my point.
Okay. But do we expect them to become like NBA championship caliber with this player?
So they have Anthony Davis, but he's hurt always, so that doesn't help them. They need to get somebody else next to him, but they can be good in the future for sure.
Right, but I mean, let's say 15 years. I mean, the guy looks like he's going to be a player for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, they should build around him.
Point they should get it right. He's a transformational player. Is he that good?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. They made the right pick here.
Better than Darren Peterson and AJ DeBanza, who are playing tomorrow night at Allen Fieldhouse?
I guess we'll see. We've seen what Cooper Flagg can do at the next level now, but we'll see what those guys can do.
Okay. Peterson averages 21.6 per game in 27 minutes. DeBanza averages 23.6 a game in 32 minutes. Who scores more points tomorrow night?
I'm going to say Peterson.
I would have never guessed that, Mark.
I'm hoping that he plays more than 25 minutes.
So obviously the reason to not go with Peterson is he may not play 36 minutes or whatever, right?
Yep.
But the reason to not go with DeBanza is Bill's self-defense. He takes the best player away from teams, and he's done that his whole career. So I'm with you. I'm going Peterson.
It's a good strategy.
I'm absolutely going Peterson on that one. So I'm pretty darn excited about watching that game. It's the 1,000th at Allen Fieldhouse, and it should be great. It's number 13 versus number 14, and this starts a stretch here to close out the season where KU's schedule becomes very difficult, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Their next 4 games are all against ranked teams, I believe.
Wow. How about this one out of Florida, Mark? A Florida couple is suing a fertility clinic. In 2020, they placed multiple embryos in the possession of the fertility clinic. Then they got pregnant, and then they had a baby. Their baby appears in the picture. It'll be like 10 months old, maybe a year old. The parents are both white. The baby is black. And they have filed a lawsuit. And it sounds racist to file that lawsuit. I get it, but they've tested the baby. There is not one single genetic relationship to either parent.
How does that happen?
They mixed it up in the lab.
Oh, no.
They mixed the embryos up, which means there's another baby probably coming from that lab that's not going to be related to their parents.
Yeah.
Correct?
Has to be.
If, I'm just asking the question, if those people have a baby and they don't know, and they test them, and it's not theirs, and it's these other couples, I don't even want to know what would happen. Like, did they get the wrong babies? Wow. What in the world are we doing? Mark, have a great weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled. The Vince Show is coming up next on KCMO.